Hey everybody, welcome to Real World with Julie. I'm Julie. If you haven't already, make sure you are subscribing to our YouTube channel and subscribing to our podcast on all streaming platforms. And make sure you also follow us on social media because we've got some cool stuff going on there. We are so glad to have you. And if I did this correctly, all these links should be below to make it easier for you. Like I said, we're so glad to have you. Hope you enjoy. Okay. I don't know what I turned it on. Okay. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Real World with Julie. I don't know if this is going to be the first episode, second, or whatever. So I'll reintroduce, or for the first time, this is Reagan. Reagan and I met at this point, how many years ago?
It's been
like 2.
It would have been like October or November of 2022.
Okay, it does not seem that long. Okay. I'm old, apparently, and we're actually going to be talking a little bit about Reagan's age today. But Reagan and I met in like paramedic classes and stuff. And so we are going to talk a little bit about, so how old do you have to be to work as an EMT or paramedic? Or
So to hold a certification in most states, in the states, especially in North Carolina and South Carolina, where I operate in both states, Julie operates in
I don't operate at
North
all.
Carolina. Not really right now, but in North Carolina and South Carolina that I know of, you have to be 18 to hold an EMS certification.
Okay, so don't go any further.
Okay.
So I'm gonna ask him questions, and so do your best not to like
go in.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you start. Okay.
Yeah.
So okay. Question without answering. What age can you even take? Don't you have to be a certain age to take a class?
So the rule was when I did the initial class that you and I did, that you just had to be 17 by the last day of class.
Okay. So and also let me just clarify this because I have notes, but I think I'm okay. You were homeschooled, correct?
At that time, yeah, I had been homeschooled for a little over a year.
Okay. So this class that we were just this career path in general it's a lot.
Oh, absolutely.
There is a lot of classwork. There's a lot of honestly studying because you're basically becoming a paramedic as a doctor essentially because you don't have anybody to tell you push this drug, do that drug.
I was gonna say all you have is a book of like what we call standing orders, which is it comes from a doctor and the doctor gives you in certain situations.
But
so
like, no offense, and this is gonna I've worked in all health. I have a master's degree in healthcare administration that I don't use. But anyway, paramedics make decisions that keep in mind that as a paramedic and you're treating somebody and you're having to decide a life or death decision, we don't have time to do tests. We literally can do, vitals and like blood glucose
and a 12 lead, and that's about it. And
we can't test their urine to see if they, so it's paramedics are very underpaid. They are, in my opinion, underrated. So anyway, so keep in mind that that's Reagan's goal. And if I get into this class, which I probably we'll post the other video first.
Yeah.
But y'all, this kid is 16 years old in this class. Okay? Keep in mind that honestly, I personally, and keep in mind I'm going to prompt you to tell me. Okay. So I don't think I know anyone who. So even in high school, if you were doing like the health sciences, I don't even think you could become like a CNA until 18.
I don't think you can.
But
still,
they would maybe start it was like a 4-year process where you start. Anyway, so he's 16. He's going balls to the wall. He's all in.
And by the time I had started EMT school, I had already had all of my firefighter certifications too.
Oh yeah. Okay. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
And if you know anything about fire, which I knew, that's a lot.
That was an 8-week academy, and I was there 5 days a week. It was a lot.
And so he was homeschooled, but this is not me downing homeschooling. I'm saying that probably the only reason that this kid could be an adult at 16 is because he was homeschooled because of the schedule. Like he was doing a lot. You could tell there was a reason in the class, and I'm not going to get into that. You could kind of tell his maturity that was 16 because of a certain reason.
Yeah.
But knowledge-wise, you were up there.
Yeah.
He would bring his stethoscope and he would change his stethoscope
Oh
cover.
my gosh, I still do that.
No, that's not me
Like,
hating
just
on him,
no,
but
no, no,
I'm saying
no. Like I,
like he was legit. He would
yeah,
come in, so we were supposed to be in uniform, and I would literally be in sweatpants and a t-shirt. But he would he was doing it. He was doing the dang thing. I'm doing my best to have a filter. But so 16 years old, I started realizing, because keep in mind, this is when Reagan and I first met.
Yep.
I started realizing that there was like something more to like. Keep in mind, Reagan was very vocal.
Yeah.
Reagan wanted to,
I
and
wanted
this
to
is
do
none of
everything.
this. What I'm about to say is in. If you have listened to the previous episode, none of what I'm about to say,
Right.
Reagan and I are positive.
Oh,
Yeah,
absolutely.
we are
Yeah.
wonderful now. So Reagan was super vocal in the class, not just talking the way I was or just making jokes. Reagan was constantly not necessarily being cocky, but like proving to himself. And keep in mind, psychology is my thing, so I don't know how it came across to everybody else, but in my head, he was proving to himself that he knew this.
Yeah.
Also, I personally have never met your parents, but I realized that your dad specifically knew. I think like the teachers knew your dad.
So the teachers knew both my parents because
Okay.
they probably met my mom first.
Okay. But basically, it was almost like Reagan had to know
Yeah.
everything and be
Which
perfect.
actually, you did meet my parents because my mom came in and taught one night.
I wasn't there that night. I did meet your dad though. He walked through the door, but I didn't really meet him. I saw him, but I wasn't there the night your mom
Okay.
taught. But so Reagan's parents, and I don't that they seem, but Reagan's parents are higher up in EMS,
Yeah.
correct?
Yeah.
So my question is, first off, and Reagan's parents, if you're watching this, I'm just asking
They
you.
won't.
I don't think they will.
They don't even know that I'm here right now.
Literally,
Because I moved out, so they kind of just check in with me every couple days.
But if for some reason they end up watching this is nothing like I respect them.
Yeah,
I don't.
absolutely.
But do you feel like this career path was kind of set for you?
So no, but also yes, and I'll explain that. So, I've kind of always known that I wanted to do something in the medical field. Um, from the time I was about 3 years old, I knew I wanted to be at a fire department and maybe be on an ambulance. But I had also discovered later on in middle school, going into my first year of high school. Keep in mind, I was still in a public school at that point. I was in public school up until my sophomore year, and then the beginning of my sophomore year, I homeschooled.
And what was the reason for that?
So that was like right after. So COVID was my 8th grade year, and then going into freshman year was the whole hybrid thing. And then I was just
you might as well just be at home.
I was gonna say I was over it by the end of my freshman year. We were in school every day, but they were talking about going back to hybrid, and we were still having to wear masks every day.
And something that we're going to talk about later, it probably makes more sense, like to just be at home where you're comfortable.
Right.
And all honesty, I would have probably. And
it wasn't even like just that I wanted to be at home. Homeschooling gave me an opportunity to be at the fire department more.
Right. Exactly.
So, and I had just gotten my license, so it made sense for me to make that transition.
I still think it makes sense.
Yeah.
But I forgot about COVID. See, I would have literally dropped out of school.
I was gonna say
because I wouldn't have dealt with
I didn't
that.
realize that it's been like 4 years
But a mask,
tomorrow.
I get I'm super claustrophobic, and so I was working in healthcare.
Yeah.
And we had to wear masks, and so I would have to pull like it made me feel claustrophobic, and I would start to hyperventilate. Anyway, that's a different story.
Yeah.
But I couldn't have done high school with a mask on.
Yeah.
All day.
So it was
Anyway,
it was really hard. But like later on into my 8th grade year, 9th grade year of school, I had started looking into going and getting my bachelor's degree in pre-med and maybe going on to medical school in the future. And my 9th grade year, my freshman year, I joined the fire department with my dad. My dad had been at the fire department that him and I are at now. Not gonna name that just for personal reasons.
Right, just in case
just
we go
in
big.
case. But he had been at that fire department for a little over 2 years, and I've been there.
Isn't he a paramedic as well?
So he had
He's paramedic and fire,
He's a
right?
paramedic now. He's a captain of captain paramedic,
Okay.
and he was in paramedic school when I
Okay.
joined, or
Okay.
he was just
And your
about to
mom's
start.
paramedic too, right?
My mom's
Okay.
been a paramedic for almost 20 years,
Okay.
for over 20 years. Um, so I had joined the fire department, and then kind of
And you
got,
went full in, like
yeah, like
getting all
I
your
got
certs.
the bug
The bug.
really fast.
Yeah, so we don't
And
get
I was
banned.
like, oh, maybe we're not going to go to medical school now. And so
It's I'm not gonna lie,
everybody,
EMS is like
oh, absolutely.
it's addicting.
Yeah, it is. It
And
is.
it's a you feel like so it's almost like I've never done I've been to college. I didn't join a sorority. I don't really get along with girls, but also I'm not gonna pay to have friends. Sorry for those of you in a sorority. But I feel like EMS, even though there is drama within EMS, like it feels like home kind of like
Oh,
you
absolutely.
have even if you and I were to hate each other,
We
no
will.
matter what, I have your back and you have
Yeah,
mine.
absolutely.
No matter
So, and even now, like some of my very best friends are paramedics. Like I have a paramedic partner that I work with that got his paramedic, little over a year and a half ago, almost 2 years. Um, that I go in and work with him almost every shift he's there, just like even if I'm not getting paid. And him and I are so close that he's almost like the big brother that I never really
Well, I
got to
mean,
have.
and on the opposite side of that is like even if we were mortal enemies,
Mm-hmm.
we fire paramedic whatever, you have each other's
Oh
back,
yeah.
and there is trust there. Even if I don't trust him with like some drama or what do you call it, sipping the coffee? What's it called?
I don't know.
Sipping spill the
Spilling the tea.
tea.
I was so
I'm so
confused.
old, so like even if you don't trust each other like that, it's kind of crazy that in EMS, there's no question
Right.
if you were going to have my
Right.
back. And
Well, and like
it's very like, ah.
I was telling somebody this yesterday at my non-EMS job, that like
Also, sorry, we're in the library, so if you hear
you,
people in the background,
yeah,
sorry.
that it's like it's a very different dynamic because like
So different.
I love the people at my non-EMS job. I'm a server, in my
Oh,
off time.
I haven't come to see you.
My last day is Friday, so you need to come
Wait,
do that.
oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
All right, just remind me.
I put in my notice.
Just remind me.
So,
Anyway,
yeah. And I was telling her, I
squirrel.
was like, it like I love everybody here, but it's a
It's
different dynamic in fire and
different.
EMS because like I was driving lights and sirens on the interstate the other day, sitting next to the guy I was just talking about, like the big brother I never had, and one of my best friends. And I was like, I was sitting next to my best friend running lights and sirens up the interstate, and we were just having casual conversation.
And as I was about to say, so I'm an
And
adrenaline junkie,
yeah,
and I also am addicted to helping people. And it is insane. Also, just to let you guys out there know that, and I might be speaking for you, and I'm a squirrel getting off
yeah,
topic, but you have planned on going into the medical field. Well, the thing that's different about EMS and in the medical field, because I've been in both, is that EMS, you don't have time to think.
well, yeah,
You've got
like
to
we're
be,
looked at as the cowboys of medicine. Like
oh, for
that's
sure.
absolutely, yeah.
But no, like it's one of those things where you have to be made for
Oh
EMS
yeah,
because running lights and
it's
sorry,
a
that sounded so
whole
crazy.
different animal.
It is insane. Like when you're literally in pull up, turnout gear. One day I had a rock in my shoe. I was barefoot, but my turnout gear. So I was barefoot, without socks. It
Yeah,
was a rock. And by the time I got home, I had a huge blister, and like it was ridiculous. But guess what? When you
you
are,
didn't affect
we
you.
had to cut people out of a car. It was crazy. That rock didn't bother me until till the
Took your
rope was finally
yeah.
over that we had to call in a helicopter. Literally, I was out there for hours. Then finally, I was like, "Oh my God,
Well,
there's a rock in my
in the
shoe."
same thing, like you'll realize that you have to pee, and then you'll go
You'll
and
get
you'll
a
work
call,
like a cardiac
and you're
arrest,
like,
and you're on scene for
14
like
hours
two. I was
later.
gonna say, and then you're like, oh, I still have to pee, and it's been like 4 hours
It
since that call came
literally,
out.
now I will say that for those, if, kind of like Reagan said, if you think you might want to go into the medical field,
Think about it long and hard.
probably go into the medical field over just jumping into EMS
Oh yeah,
because it is one of those things.
yeah,
It's very demanding.
yeah,
It is extremely,
hmm
you, it's
yeah.
it's an emotional roller
hmm
coaster you have to be an adrenaline junkie yet calm in
Yeah.
high stress
And
situations.
one thing I will always recommend is if you're looking at EMS as a whole, and you're looking for somewhere to start, join a fire
Yep,
department
that's exactly what I was gonna say.
because you're gonna run medical calls, but you're
You
also gonna run fire
see,
calls, and you're gonna run recs, and you're gonna run lift assist, unless you're in another county. I'm just kidding.
I don't know how to add that up, but I mean,
Well,
I actually don't even know what he means by that. But
EMS runs the public assists there.
I don't even know what he's talking about because I don't
Never
work
mind.
EMS
Never
here.
mind. She can edit that out.
I don't know how to, but it's fine. I don't work in Rutherford County. I don't even know what he's talking about. I don't know if that was a
I
positive or
don't.
a negative.
I don't
So we're
either.
gonna
So
like,
it's
okay,
fine.
yeah, I don't work here. Don't
Let me
get
just
it.
go off on a side bit that nobody knows about.
Literally, like these people are
Anyways,
like,
but you're
what?
gonna run like the lift assist, you're gonna run the fire calls, you're gonna run recs, and you're gonna run medical calls. So you get the whole picture.
And I would also say that so you can go to the station and chill with
Oh,
them and kind of get
absolutely.
what it's like to
Yeah.
have a little bit more downtime. With like fire is because a lot of firemen are required to be EMTs. Some
Yeah.
firemen are firemen and paramedics.
Like my dad.
Right. And some places require that.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, when there's a fire call and
Everything goes out the window.
and it's a medical call because, fireworks, hazmat, and wrecks and cutting people out, blah, blah. Just as an example, we were told, one day we ran a wreck and we were told, all right, one person, driver, he's out walking, he's fine. We get there, the entire left side of the car was like smashed in. Nope, there was a person in there. The only reason we knew that is because he was screaming bloody murder, right? So within literally 2 minutes, cut seat all the way out, him pulled out, ass cutting out. Hey, tib. Oh crap, bilateral tib. Femur. Oh crap, bilateral femur
Yeah.
sticking out. Like, it's so fast.
Yeah.
You have to know your stuff.
Mhm.
You have to stay calm, and you have to be doing, like, I'm an adrenaline junkie in the best way. You
Oh, yeah,
can't just go into
absolutely.
this because you like some adrenaline.
Yeah,
No,
no, you have to.
you have to be calm
It's
and adrenaline.
it's a different kind of
It's
adrenaline than you
very
think it is.
different.
It's like there's like bungee jumping adrenaline, and then there's EMS adrenaline.
And also because
Um,
at the same time, and I didn't mean to be talking this much on this, but at the same time, what you're doing is on you.
right,
So
yeah, like
you're
yeah.
not,
Well,
you
and
can't go into
you
everything
also
being
have to
like, I'm trying to
remember
be the
you
hero.
also have to remember, like, if you're on a truck and you have a higher certification than the person that's with you, anything they do is also going to cost you your
Yeah.
license, and then
Also, you
anything
want
you
to know
do.
something very fun. If you start CPR as someone who has any kind of certification, if you start CPR on someone, legally it's on you until you can hand them off to someone with your
True.
certification or higher. And let me tell you, that stuff. I'm not telling you to not do CPR,
Right.
but there's a lot that goes into that
Yeah, there's a
adrenaline
lot.
because you're making life and death decisions about someone quickly.
Yeah, yeah.
Especially if you do it all.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, and I
it's
mean,
crazy.
it's really difficult, just to think about it like that too, because it comes so easy when you're actually doing it, but just to like step
That
back and think
crowd
about
is,
it,
yeah,
it's crazy.
and it's really not
No, yeah,
for everyone. There are people who handle certain things
yeah.
better than others. I personally don't know how, but I handle children a lot better than other people.
So I actually ran, like I'm really good with Pete's calls. Like there was a call that was not in
Psych is
my
nothing.
response area the other night. The same fire department, different response area. That I was like, my dad was the captain and I was working. I like begged my dad to go just because it was
Like,
a Pete's
yeah.
call, and
See, I'm psych.
like it wasn't even a
Everything's
bad
psych.
Pete's call. It was just like it was just a kid, and I was like, I just want to go see the baby.
Well,
I'm
my
really good with
thing
babies.
is psych, which means that there's like staging a lot of times, and that's fun too. And
Well, because you can stage for like hours at a time too on some of those. It's crazy.
no, literally, that's my thing.
Yeah.
Like psych stuff, like literally that we did scenarios,
Oh my gosh, I
and
remember
literally,
that.
I was like, dude. And then that girl, your friend, was like, hey, laughing. And
Yeah,
I was
and then
like,
she like ran
I said,
out.
you should work at a haunted house. She was like, I do. And I was like, oh. I mean, no, she was sweet as sugar about it. But anyway, so, okay, sorry, off topic. That we need to do an episode about crazy calls.
Oh
That's
yeah, for
actually,
sure.
but so basically, did you think So you started with fire because that's
Yeah,
what you could do.
right.
If you had to pick one, paramedic or fire, what would you pick?
Um, I would pick EMS.
I
Absolutely.
felt I could see that.
Yeah, absolutely. So
I actually
my
didn't really even know you were fire until
yeah,
like I see you as a
yeah.
paramedic.
So honestly, and I'm gonna get a lot of backlash for this if any of my like friends watch this and
If
everything.
any of your friends watch
Like
this and they need a backlash, they can message me because
um,
this is Real
but
World with Julie, and
I
you should.
honestly I would choose like a really good trauma or a really good medical call, um, over a structure fire any day of the week.
Oh
And
God,
I would
listen,
like
any of my fire friends who heard this, they would be like, Julie, you're an idiot. Like psych. Like they literally are like, Julie, you have to remind yourself that you're fire. And I'm like, but I want to go be in the drama. And they're like, Julie, step like get it together. Oh no, so I understand
right.
because a structure
Um,
fire, I'm like, y'all go put it
go.
out. I'm like, here,
But I
here's y'all.
also like really like I'm really good on Rex.
I
And that's
like
what
them.
we were going to the other night. What I was talking about a minute ago, going like some sirens up the interstate. We were just having casual conversation. Like we got towed for a motorcycle wreck. We didn't find one because like I guess he had gotten up and gone, and like just a passerby had called it in.
Gangster, like
Yeah,
he said, gangster
our
breath.
district's really weird about stuff like that, just because we have the big interstate that goes up and down the mountain. So somebody will like pull off, and somebody will think they
They
got in
might
a
have like
wreck.
peed, probably,
Yeah,
you know.
like got in a wreck, and then
So
they'll leave.
911, and you
Yeah,
get there and you're like,
and then they didn't stop. They didn't stop. Like they just saw it, but they didn't
see,
stop.
I'm the person where even I, this is stupid because I'm not in the military, but I call myself like even as a civilian, I don't know the better word for it. Before I even had any, I stopped for everybody.
Yeah,
I used to also give people rides. Well, I still do, but people are like, Julie, you're gonna get killed, and
yeah.
I'm like, no, because they
Somebody's gonna
hop in.
stab you.
No, they hop in, and I'm like, all right, listen, I'm not the one to try something with. Trust me, you don't want to, literally, and I'll just be like,
No.
people can tell. And one
Yeah,
time, this person was like, "Oh God, like should I get out?" And I'm like, "I'm not the one to try it with.
I'm not the
Like
one.
I'm not the one." But Rex, in my opinion,
Yeah,
as much as Rex suck, you know,
yeah. But
Rex use your all of your
oh yeah,
knowledge.
I was
Like
gonna
Rex
say
are
Rex especially like
use fire, like
they're like the one type of call where you get to do fire and EMS all in one call.
and depending on. See, I also like being the one to direct traffic, but they're like, Julie, no, that's high patrol. You know, that's and
Yeah,
I'm like, but I kind of like it. Like y'all
we're not supposed to.
I know, and I'm just sitting there like, but
Yeah.
you know. But anyway, so
But my like eventual goal is to be on an ambulance full time
I could
in a
that
big county in South Carolina. So
I for sure see it.
yeah, yeah,
But I mean, like, so for example, a lot of my friends, their goal is to be at a huge city's fire department. I'm sure you probably know what I'm talking about.
probably Charlotte.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was trying not to say the name, but
Oh, sorry.
that's like a
We're being
fireman.
vague about it.
That's like a Charlotte,
Charlotte.
North Dakota. Charlotte, North Dakota, Rutherford, Tennessee. Because there is.
Mm-hmm.
We're in
Yeah.
Tennessee. Hello, welcome. Go Rocky Top.
Oh.
Tennessee almost beat South Carolina overnight. Anyway,
Mm,
um, but
almost is
this.
the keyword there.
Yeah, I know that. Whew. Anywho, um, but basically, so being 16, has anybody other than yourself like treated you different
Um, yes,
in
actually.
fire or in on the EMS side of things?
So, I work in an ALS fire department.
Okay,
So that means that we do everything that the ambulance does. We just don't have an ambulance, so we don't put people in the back of the truck taken to the
correct.
hospital. So we go to the call.
Do it.
We do everything that a paramedic would do, but
You
then the
just don't.
paramedics on the ambulance come and
Right.
take over our care.
That's actually
So,
really cool.
yeah, it's
That's dope.
awesome. Like
Yeah.
actually, I'm getting my paramedic so I can go work on a
That actually
QRV
makes
part time to do that because
yeah,
it's
yeah.
awesome. Um, but there's been multiple instances. Um,
In the like in this
yeah,
setting, and the
in yeah at the fire department.
I could see that.
Where like not my coworkers at the fire department, but the people in the ambulance. Like I
Although I will say if that's across the board, because there are some paramedics who are like,
yeah there is. But some people would like shoot straight past me even though I was trying to like because like there's ALS calls and then there's BLS calls and it's like I'll take the BLS calls sometimes just because I'm I'm an
You're
EMT.
he's certified to
I'm
do.
certified to do BLS, and they'll go to the person over here who's not certified, but they're older than me.
Oh,
And I'm like, nope, you're coming over here to talk
like
to
ha
me about
ha.
my patient.
Turn back
I
around.
was gonna say um,
Like glad you got your steps in
I
for
was
the
gonna
day,
say
but
I was with a paramedic, and then there was me, and then there was a very very new volunteer that has no experience at
nothing.
all.
Who's just there?
And yeah, my paramedic had stepped out to take something out to the truck because it was my call. It was a basic call. And EMS walks in, and they're like automatically talking to the older person in the room. And I'm like, just no.
Also, as a
Like, you're gonna,
female,
yeah.
sometimes like
No, yeah, yeah.
no, and I'm
And
not saying like it. Just sometimes females don't want to talk to females. They don't,
yeah,
and I'm like, bruh,
yeah,
like
yeah.
okay. I'm
Well,
like
and
okay,
like, I actually, like, when I'm in South Carolina, I have to wear my certification on a badge.
right.
Like, it has to be on my person when I'm operating. No, it doesn't have to be on a badge, but I wear mine on a badge
That's
anyway because it's
literally
like
just. I mean, that's just
identification.
honestly, that's just petty. So here's my thoughts about that. Is like if so, in my opinion, um, let's just say that person who has 0 certifications, they should not, in my opinion, like I said, that person should not have the audacity to speak on anything. Therefore,
Which they didn't in
right.
that
But
situation.
what I'm saying is like basically anybody there, since you are an ALS fire department, they're not going to send,
Right.
that person was just probably there watching, it's like you, like kind of like when an ambulance pulls up, you're not going to assume that just some Joe Blow, riding around like kid in our class,
Mm-hmm.
um, I mean, so I personally think that's disrespectful.
Oh, absolutely.
Um, I see that with men and women with age. There are paramedics who are like veteran paramedics who actually do things the dinosaur way and aren't actually up to speed on
Hmm.
new stuff.
Yeah.
Um, but they've been around. There's also seniority issues. There's
Hmm.
also political,
Yeah.
like as in I've been here
I was gonna say
forever.
fire department politics and then EMS politics. It's just
It's
kind of a
EMS
yeah.
politics, like like, and then also too, for some reason, there's this like battle between complaining EMS complaining about fire
Fire
complaining about
complaint about
EMS,
EMS.
sheriff or law
Hmm.
complaining about
Both.
and it's and then you got rescue, which is
Yeah.
a whole different animal,
Yeah.
which we're not.
No, because
No,
they're not even
I'm so
around anymore for the most part. So, but
rescue anyway. But I mean, it's just insane. Like
yeah.
at the end of the day, we are all there for the same
Oh,
goal,
absolutely.
and people just want to show how big
Yeah.
their stuff is. And it's like, dude, it's like,
It doesn't
I
matter.
personally don't have time for that
Yeah.
because I'm like, these right here are bigger than all of y'all's. So it's like, you know what I'm saying? It's
Yeah.
like, and also, in my
So
opinion, being humble is the most
one
attractive thing.
hundred percent.
I love, like,
Now in this situation, I let my not so humble side
oh,
come
as you
out,
should, though.
because they immediately went
I'd have been like, come on back.
to the older person that has no certifications. It was literally his first call,
And he's
and
probably like,
they like immediately walked to him and started asking him questions, and he doesn't even know what half of the stuff they're saying means. And
right.
I like they started talking to him, and I was like over here with the patient, and I like
Like,
said across the room,
hello.
I was like, "Are you gonna take report from me, or are you just gonna stand over there?"
Also, let me just, before you
And they
keep
were
going,
so confused.
let me just tell y'all that Reagan might not have every single certification yet, but he knows his stuff. And also, unless things have changed, Reagan doesn't just say stuff that he doesn't know. It literally made him so mad if he got a scenario wrong. And he
Yeah,
would literally be like, no, it is this because of this. And literally it's like no, literally, like
yeah,
he is, and this goes back
yeah,
to another episode that we're going to talk about, but the thing is, and I get the age thing, however, knowing Reagan, I would trust him over paramedics
yeah,
because
yeah. No,
now when it comes to stuff that he just doesn't know yet, he would literally tell
I was
you.
gonna say because I'm
But
like not even
he is like,
halfway to that.
and I understand this too, and because I'm literally happy-go-lucky all the time. But when I get serious, you need to trust what
Yeah.
like you need to listen to
Yeah.
what I say, and it's like because I'm like OCD and
Yeah.
anal, and so if
Well,
I
and like one thing
like
I say is like you don't need to freak out unless I'm freaking out because I can
oh for sure,
like I'll freak out about random stuff,
literally,
but
but like that's
I've
that's me.
never freaked out in front of a patient. I've never freaked out over a patient
I will
because
literally freak out over. Oh, here's one time we did a scenario. I freaked out over the fact that they told me not to go back in to get the cat. It was carbon monoxide. They were like, "No, Julie, you leave the cat." I said, no, I'm gonna go take a couple breaths of oxygen and go back in there and get the dead cat." Like, so I know that's like a
mhm,
stupid example, but it's like I stay calm in pretty much
yeah.
every situation, and also too with stuff like that.
Mhm.
If I ever give the look, and I think that you might have seen it that night when I finally got serious about having a conversation. If I ever give you a look, you might better just run.
Yeah.
That's all I need.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yes, tell me how you.
Um, but I was like, "Are you gonna come take report,
And they're
or
like,
are you just gonna stand there?" And I had like this guy had no identification whatsoever, but I had my,
he's
um,
like,
yeah, I was like, this says EMT on it. That that's not an
be
EMT.
like, that's just a
And
person.
they were so confused, and I was like, it's not a big deal. Gave them a report on my patient. They left,
Also,
and
he's very good at giving a report. He is so like,
um, because I mean, it wasn't even a bad patient. It was a basic call. So I mean, but like I've given,
I hate when people once again assume. Like, also, like the fact that he is young and already at this level, that actually is more impressive than an 80-year-old
yeah,
finally. I mean,
yeah,
80-year-old that would be pretty good for
right, right.
but it's like, and I mean, it
Well,
just
it felt
sucks.
so weird. Like I had to type out a resume the other day
Oh, I
for
can help you
my
out
job
with that.
interview. I'll let you look at it.
Okay. I
But I
used to
had to
edit
type
stuff
out
for
a
NC Charlotte.
like a resume the other day for a job interview, and I was like, "There's no way I have this many certs." Like,
Literally, that's me. So that's me with my degrees, certifications, licenses.
yeah,
No, literally, my resume is like could be like 15 pages
oh
long,
yeah,
and I have to shorten it because like I have two undergrad degrees, a master's degree, and it's like, and people are like, Julie, you've done it
yeah,
all, and I'm like, yeah, but I still don't know what I want to do for my lifetime career. So you're
yeah,
actually lucky, but and to be honest, so basically, I guess as someone who I shoot straight, you at this
yeah,
point, whether it hurts your feelings or not,
yeah,
it is what it is. I think that also, before I say what I'm going to say, I think you, especially after a conversation we had, but I could tell early on,
right,
this is why, once again, I killed people with kindness. I'm not going to judge anybody. You literally were under pressure.
yeah,
You felt like, and I'm going to speak for you, and correct me if I'm wrong, but from what I saw, you thought you had to be perfect.
yeah,
When there was a lady in our class who was, she had her doctor of physical therapy,
yeah,
and then there was another guy who was just very, very book smart.
yeah. Very
Um,
still is.
but still, Reagan's really good at scenarios because he's used to
I
that.
was gonna say I was more advanced clinically than I was
But the thing,
didactically.
but even then, Reagan literally, he wasn't sitting here trying to be the best. He
No,
genuinely felt like he had to be.
yeah.
Like this lady, we were taking a test on something, and it was obviously she who had her
I was
DPT.
gonna say it was
It
like a
made it
pathophysiology
made
exam.
so much more sense. Like that's her doctorate. She literally made higher than Reagan, and Reagan like
I had an
freaked
anxiety
out.
attack over
Like
it, like
yeah, and it's just
legit.
and it wasn't because. And so here's the thing: is Reagan, he and I've learned this, and I don't know if I've told you this, but you're actually a lot more humble than you come across,
Yeah,
if that makes sense.
yeah,
Reagan feels, and keep in mind, like I said, please correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't know if you have always been able to put this into words, but especially being young, you feel like you have a point to prove.
I do. Yeah,
I
yeah,
personally was just in the class, just chilling, like literally
yeah.
just chilling. And I also think that that kind of annoyed Reagan in the beginning too, because I think he thought that I might know more, but in reality, he was talking more knowledge. I was just over here making jokes about random stuff they said, but you can tell that like it sucks that you're getting that kind of reaction when in reality you are genuinely not only trying to be perfect, but you feel like you have to be.
Right. Well, and I think like a lot of that was it wasn't even pressure from my parents. It was like the whole thought process of if I fail,
Yes.
what is this going to look like on me,
And we
but
actually
also
had
what is
that.
this going to look like on my parents?
And we
And
Hey everybody, hope you enjoyed that. Once again, make sure you're subscribing to our YouTube and podcast platforms and also following us on social media because trust me, you don't want to miss a thing because it's going to get good.